Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wisdom Circle. You got me and Angela today, and we're very excited to be here with you. We are here to remember what the world has asked us to forget, and remember that we are not lost, we are not broken, we are the light, and we are radiating that out to everyone here, and you are radiating it out to everyone around you, so causing the ripple effect in the world. That's how we create change. And Angela, you just said what a week.
Oh my goodness me. I don't know about anybody else, but I've had a week that has been purging. I have just, from Wednesday, where are we today? Friday. Friday evening, so you guys Friday morning. But from Wednesday, just a whole heap of purging. It's just been on another level. But good stuff, it's uncomfortable. Of course, it's uncomfortable. But it also means growth, and it also means shedding, and it means leaving things behind and people behind. And sometimes it's hard. So yeah, it's been, as I say, quite a week. My inner child, I let her rant and rave. She really, really a lot of kind of internal rage that she'd been carried around, and the rage for many people who do or who have connect with the inner child. Part of that rage for me was the fact that as children we get shut down, and that little girl inside of us or inside of me has been carrying around so much for so long, and I really gave her her voice this week. So that was part of her purging. And yeah, rage. She was so freaking angry. Um,
Wow.
so I let her have her head completely. My keyboard and ChatGPT loved me while she was ranting into and onto the screen. But the release has been incredible. So I don't know if anybody else is feeling that kind of energy. I had it again yesterday. Some of it to do with work and the work kind of course, not moving as fast as I wanted to move. Why would it move faster than I wanted to move? Um, so yeah, I had another huge release with that yesterday, as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's
so yeah,
interesting
yeah.
that, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Now go ahead.
Okay, well, I just think it's interesting that we're moving into this fast-paced air energy, fire energy. And yet it does feel in a lot of ways that it's I'm like you. It's like, okay, well, I want to move faster. I want to go faster because I also had a incredible week. I've been having an incredible March full of excitement and learning and growth and um I want to keep going. And yet I there are things holding me back that are out of my control. And I'm like, okay, having to navigate that. And I am oh, going deeper into soul. So, what's come up for me this week is very cool. I recognized how, so I talk a lot to my community about, 30 years ago, I went through bankruptcy because I had an interior design business I had jumped into because my heart was like, yes, 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 I want to do this, my heart and my head, right? And it was so exciting for me. And it was a franchise. And I pushed forward, even though the sign, like the universe was saying, maybe not at this point, maybe not. But I pushed forward because that was, my heart was saying, this is what I want. This is what I want. And it ended in bankruptcy. Like it went really well and then it went down really fast, right? As business often does. And I know now, looking back, it was because I was not anchored in to my soul and
Mm.
aligned in that coherence, right? So that inner, when I say inner coherence, I mean your mind, your heart, your body all into alignment. And then when I talk about soul coherence, it's and in alignment with soul. So all of it together, right? So that's kind of my thing now. It's like soul coherence. And so I was given an opportunity this week, and I thought, through all my work, I'm bringing this in. I'm leaning more into soul now. I understand where I pushed and where I shouldn't have, and where I should have leaned into the power that we have, the creative flow. And I didn't. I was headstrong and I was like, I'm doing this. I'm going to make this work. I'm doing this. And I worked and worked and worked. And, you know, devastation.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay, I get it. So I had this opportunity come up this week. And what happened was like, yeah, my soul, my heart, and my mind were saying, yes, go. But my body was totally contracting
Amazing.
because there was a lot of fear around the financial part of it, the financial part of the commitment. And I realized that in the past, I would have taken the leap and stretched and learned
Yeah.
how to hold that new container and grown. And it all worked out. Usually it worked. But in the leap, there's a lot of stress with that
Yeah.
and anxiety. And I got to a point where I sat down and I looked last week and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna stop, pause, listen to my body, hold my body, acknowledge that fear, soothe it, and so it doesn't mean I'm not going to go forward because my body is contracting in fear. It it just means I pause and listen to my body and take time. It's like that child in the back seat of the car going, stop the car, right?
Mhm.
Don't go that one direction. And so I saw myself pause and go, okay, what's going on here? What's wrong? And and it was a really big lesson because in that moment, I recognized how when I take the leap and go and stretch and stress and anxiety, but grow and hold the new container, I was still forcing like I did in my first business. And so I had to, in the end, I decided I wasn't going to take this opportunity, and it was painful to let it go because I know my soul is saying yes. But I think my body and what's going on around kind of went, not yet. Not yet. It's not a no, no, it's a not yet. And and I feel like I've made a decision with more wisdom and more honor for my life here as a human
Yeah.
and my family, my husband, and he's on this healing journey, which finding out yesterday is not quite going the way we had hoped. But so I need to hold space for them too, for my family. So it was a huge week of
Mm.
having to pause and
I relate so much to what you're saying in the sense that I think that this is also wisdom that we acquire. If we go back to when we're, like in my 20s, in my 30s, much more fearless and it's not that I'm fearful, that's not
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes.
we would take the leap and whatever the consequences were, we would deal with them as they were coming along. And there's that almost that impulsiveness and impetuousness when we're younger, and then it gets tempered because life experience tempers us as we're moving through. And so certainly for me on the other side of 60, in fact, I'm kind of mid 65. What I'm finding is that wisdom is the thing that's starting to come through. And I'm so grateful to hear you saying that you listen to your body, because how often do we shut our bodies down and we don't listen? And then we wonder why all sorts of things, kind of, we start feeling more stressed. We start having, things like, I haven't had them, but people get shingles. They get all sorts of things manifesting because their body hasn't been honored.
Yeah.
And what I'm also finding as well, and it's so brave to walk away from an opportunity because that congruence was not there. What I also find is it takes time for my mental body to align with my physical body. And if I'm listening to my body first, the mental connection will start to come through because my body's holding wisdom. And that's
Yes.
what I'm listening to. And so I love what you also said about it not yet, because very often they're not no's, they are timing. The timing is not quite right. We might, we might even be experiencing coherence within ourselves, but the outer environment is not coherent to where we are either. So it's not going to support that choice and decision. And that
Oh, and
only
that's so, oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. Yeah, because that's exactly it. It takes the physical environment time to catch up to where we are. And that feels like it just landed for me. Like, yeah, that's what's going on is the outer circumstances haven't caught up to my heart, my soul, my mind, and my body is telling me it's the mirror. My body is saying, okay, look at this. Look at this.
part
Oh,
of my rant, part of my ranting this week was about going, please don't tell me I'm early. I'm so tired of being told that what I'm doing is early. Um, and again, just giving myself a space to be heard with that. Um, yes, it's the truth. It doesn't always have to be palatable or sit nicely, but yeah, sometimes the stuff that we're bringing through is early. And as you're saying, the outside world hasn't caught up to A, the energy and the vibration, and B, the shift that we've been going through, that the external world hasn't really changed. We've changed. And
yeah.
there is that energy of both external and internal world being more in alignment and more congruent with each other for that forward movement. And I think this is also where a lot of people may get stuck with the fire horse energy, expecting that everything's going to just happen now and it's just going to happen quickly and it's just going to happen fast because it's the energy of the fire horse. Well, not if we're not congruent and not if the external world around us is not congruent either. Otherwise, the fire is just going to burn in a way that's not going to be the manner in which we use fire energy constructively.
Oh my gosh. I've had an epiphany. It's just so like you're just this is what I'm feeling. I just hadn't put words into it. It's like like you said that meshing between the external physical world and where we are, that has to be congruent. I love that because then we can really move forward. And that is what's been going through my mind as a leader. It's like I see a lot of women jump into high level programs taking that leap the way I always did before. And it's exciting and it's fun and that's fabulous. But there's probably a big part of them. And I don't think that you can ever not have an ROI on any program that you take. You can always learn and grow from it, but a lot of these women are looking for the financial ROI and not getting it and then finding themselves in a situation of beating themselves up because they did something wrong. And I really, really want to lead in a way that brings them with me in that full coherence, in that full congruence. And I want to lead that way. I want to show that it's possible that we can move forward in excitement and energy and fire and also ease and flow
Yep,
because we are the creator. So I put the brakes on. I decide, like, no, 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 I'm not creating like that anymore. I am creating from a space of peace and joy and ease and flow.
yep,
I do not need to have the stress in order to expand and grow.
yep, yep. Absolutely. I'm 100% with you. And again, I think this is part of us having been tempered over so many years with so many different things, so many different products that we put out there. Also, speaking to what you're saying is around so many women buying high ticket items and not seeing the results because there's also no instant gratification and quick fix there either. The
Right.
inner work takes time. What I just want to reflect back to what we were talking about external, when the external environment and we are congruent, we are being supported by the environment around us. And if that congruence is not there, we wonder why we're bashing against an external environment that is not accommodating or is not allowing us to embody the truth of what we're taking out there. So to do this work and to take this work out into the world also takes a whole heap of patience. And when you're talking about ease and flow, I'm learning that a lot of ease and flow also has to do with timing. And when timing, ease, flow, and the external environment is congruent with where we are internally, that's when the magic happens.
Oh, that is so beautiful. It's funny because I just created, you know, how we're always refining our brand and everything. And I just created a new tagline this week, and I don't have it memorized, but it has something to do with like that a woman's life and business will grow to the or expand to the level that her soul coherence has grown and expanded. So it's kind of like seeing it as a tree. You know, your
Yeah,
roots go down, and as they grow and spread, the tree can grow and expand. And it's gotta have that congruence, or else
yeah,
the tree's gonna fall over, right?
yeah.
I love
So yeah,
it.
it's been such an interesting week, and also purging is part of that energy as well. Is it's about clearing out. I mean, we do it so many times. I'm laughing at you saying you've come up when we look at our branding and change taglines. I've been having a week of that as well, which has been part of the shift and the purging, is bringing old material into current branding form. And why I'm giggling is how many places there are where the new, like I've changed the Nautilus logo from the Nautilus itself to a much more coherent um, picture of the Nautilus. Now I've got to find out everywhere it is so that I can replace it. So little things like changing logos or changing taglines, yeah, they're significant, and the energy shift is incredible. But you got to go and find out all those places where the old tagline was or the old naming convention was. And yeah, often when that happens, when I was working in the corporate world and we used to have to go through, I was in the hotel industry a long time ago, and we went into a conversion to become an intercontinental 5-star hotel. And everything from even from the little stickers that they used to wrap the knives and forks in that had a branding sticker on,
Oh,
everything had to change. All the manuals, every single point of contact that their brand was seen had to shift and change. And you think about organizations like Coca-Cola, for example, when they change a tagline or
oh.
they modernize their logo, how much work goes into making sure that those touch points are releasing that new vibration and that new energy. So I'm just giggling because I've had that same kind of week as you.
Well, thank goodness I'm not like a hotel. I don't have to change that much. But what I have also noticed is like through the last couple months, as I've moved into like doing this inner coherence and then all of a sudden this frequency of joy seeping in, it's like because I am teaching where I'm at, not where I was. So I had a conversation yesterday with a client, and she's like, I know I got to get going. I know I just got to do, but now I've got all the ideas. I know I just need to do. But I'm actually, what if I get bored? What if that's not what I want? And I'm like, you get to, that's the beauty. Like you get to keep changing and morphing and teaching where you're at, because that's where the people are going to be magnetized to you is if you're continually fresh and energized. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to create this business and it'll be in these programs and it'll be a one and done. It's like it's never a one and done. Oh my gosh, no. It, it's
Oh my
you
God.
have to love what you're doing. You have to get up and go, I'm so excited because I get to do this today. Not, oh, my program's out there. Now it's got to make me money. We got to shift that whole, like, yeah, we're constantly in motion, evolution, and growth.
You're talking about, I mean, just a little thing like the Nautilus is part of my logo. I mean, it went from being just a kind of I don't know what you call a vector drawing, whatever it was, to a proper picture of a logo, to that where the middle was all scrunchy and wasn't as clear. And now I have a beautiful picture. And so it's even there's the evolution of things that are morphing from. And whilst I'm sitting going, oh my God, how many more places do I have to find this thing? When I see it shift and change with the new image, yes, that's landing.
Yeah.
Yes, that makes my heart happy. So do I have to do it all in one day? No. And that's, I think, the other thing is that, when we decide on a shift or a change like that, the old energy wants us to have it all sorted out in one day. No, it doesn't work like that either. So taking it in bite-sized chunks and spreading things through the day instead of, here I am. I have a friend who's going, I have to create this thing and I have to do it in one day because it's efficient. Going, okay, no, don't. There's a big difference for me when I'm in flow with writing, where I need to
Mm,
follow that flow, than when I am creating images or pins for Pinterest, or that I can do. I can do that in, half
yeah.
an hour a day, and then do some more tomorrow. But when I'm in the flow of writing, I need to let that flow go. Otherwise, I have to come back and try and pick it up again, and that doesn't always work. So
Yeah.
I think it's also, what we're talking about is also understanding the energies and frequencies of where we are, and where we can step into that space of ease and flow, as opposed to trying to continually push through because, oh, I made that commitment, so I have to honor it today. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
no.
Yeah. And that's that you hear it called the divine feminine, right? That's the
Correct.
flow, and that's listening to when am I stepping into my masculine, my CEO of my business, and when am I easing into my divine flow, my divine feminine, and listening and receiving. Like writing is totally that flow because you're receiving, you're channeling as you're writing. And branding is total left brain, total, masculine. Okay, let's do this. And we need both. We need the balance. But when we try to, like your friend said, I got to do it today because that's why I got to get it done. It's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, do it until it doesn't feel good and then do something else.
And that may work for her because of her personality style and because those are the kinds of things that are important for her. So I'm not saying don't. If it's comfortable for you and that's your way of operating, then that's wonderful.
Yes.
Uh,
But if
if
it
it's
then
not
feels
your,
like it's pushing,
yeah, yeah.
not.
And that's the whole thing. Again, we come back to our body. Our body can feel when we're going into the push, and the alignment and the congruence for the body to push and move is not there yet. We know, we can feel it.
Yeah.
Um, and so that for me is, my body has become, we talk about being lighthouses. Well, my body's a lighthouse. It lets me know what I should be doing. I mean, I have been struggling with sleep over the last week. I mean, I normally don't sleep all that well anyway. I don't know if it's a menopausal thing, but I find that I don't need as much sleep as I used to need. But this last couple of weeks, I don't know what's going on astrologically, aside from Mercury having come out of retrograde. Um, but I have been waking up almost every hour. I wake up at 2:30, 3:30 in the morning, and then I'm wide awake. And I'm just honoring my body's rhythm at the moment. And then I hit about 10 o'clock in the morning and my eyes start drooping, and I take a nap because I can, because I have
Yes.
that kind of flexible schedule. I'm not on the corporate clock. So
Oh, oh,
and again,
nice.
it's not pushing through my eyes are drooping and now I have to keep going, I have to keep going. No. So I took a nap today. I actually had a headache and migraine starting, and I caught it early, slept for 2 hours and woke up and it was gone. Again, listening to our body. I think it was a few weeks ago, we were talking about all of a sudden the body element came in, and how significant, certainly for me, I have found it more and more and more significant, and
Yes.
how many times our bodies have spoken to us and we haven't listened and we've shut down. We end up
Right.
getting sick. We're in bed with, I mean, I can't remember when last time I had flu or I had a cold. Um, and so, yeah, interesting, interesting,
Yeah.
interesting, interesting.
It is. It is so, I mean, we're in this vehicle for a reason, right? And I
Mhm.
like to see, I kind of like, you know how in Peter Pan, when Wendy sews the shadow back onto Peter's feet, I like to see our soul kind of like that, woven in and around every single cell within our body. We're not separate, but eventually it will release, right?
Yep.
And the body will decompose. But it's in this, it's in this body. We're like all entwined in our body, and our body is our communication device with our soul, our higher wisdom, whatever you want to call it, and when we just force through with our mind, it's it's I think the foundation of disease. And
Yep, absolutely.
yeah.
Well, without question. And I think the other thing too is that, I mean, for me, my knowing comes from my solar plexus. Yes, the heart, but also from my solar plexus, just sitting beneath the rib cage.
Hmm.
That intuitive body, the intuitive knowing that sits there,
Yeah.
absolutely knows when something is off.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I'm learning to listen to more and more. And so that, remember I spoke to you about amplified intuition and that workshop that I put together
Yeah.
around AI and calling it amplified intuition. Well, the whole workshop changed
Ah,
this week.
I love
Wow.
it.
It also changed this week. So the first day is all about AI and it's the external. And then the second day is all about how do I amplify my intuition internally? And then how do I take that and take it out into the world from a technological point of view? And that was stimulated by women talking about how afraid they are of AI. Um,
Hmm.
and yet, when I don't know, we've discussed on numerous episodes where we had the conversations about AI, but it's why I'm bringing it up now is because there again, we talked about just now, we're always evolving. What I thought I was putting out and what has gone out are two very, I wouldn't say
Right.
very different things, but there's two components. And there again is the congruence between the external world coming into me and how I can use and leverage that, and then the inner knowing and intuition, which is also amplifying at the same time, linking back to what we were talking about just now about the divine feminine. And so that starts to also feed into congruence
Yeah.
because it's about being more attuned to what our intuition is actually saying to us through our body.
Oh, so true. Yeah. And the program that I just started this week, the Abundant Joy Path to Prosperity, is very loosely labeled for 8 weeks because I am allowing the shifts and the movements and life to tell us what's happening right now. Where's the energy right now? What do we need to know right now? And so yeah, we have a second session on Wednesday, and I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about yet. But but I do know it will come through.
Oh,
And maybe
you know,
it's this, right? Like I just
it's
feel like
yeah,
this just landed today for me in such a bigger way because this is what I've been like mulling in, like just distilling in all week, and now it's like whoosh, okay, now it's coming clear. So thank you, Angela.
you're very welcome.
I love it. I love it.
And
It's so much fun to live this way, like in this curiosity of like, okay, and I said that right from January. I said, I'm not making a business plan. I'm not doing a dream mandala this year. I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm going to
yeah,
get up each day. Each day's a new day, a new blank canvas, and gain, like you said, the wisdom behind me and let it unfold. And it is so much fun. It's so much less stressful. I don't have to, I'm not, it's pure
not question.
co-creation.
You know, at the beginning of the year, my word for the year was truth. And I did do a vision board. And it's all an inner, it's got very little to do. And of course, it's got the little baby that's coming in July. That's
Yeah.
center, right center in the
Yes.
middle of the vision board. But it was more around, and what settled today for me was truth in staying with where I am and with who I am and not going through the spiritual bypasses and not going into this is what I should be like. And as a spiritual being, I can't get angry and I can't. No, absolutely not. It's about staying true to where and how and who I find myself being in that moment. And a lot of this is also bringing ourselves back from the future tripping stuff, because that's what
Yeah.
sometimes what business plans do for us. I mean, this particular friend of mine on the phone this morning, on the call earlier on today, was going, "Oh, it's the end of the first quarter." I'm going, "What?" I didn't even know. Oh, what? What's that? I'm not. I am not setting my clock according to quarters and according to the transactional way that businesses are run anymore. And
Mhm.
this again is the divine feminine coming in, where we're setting our rhythm in terms of the flow of the cycles of what we're experiencing. Very, very different energy. And it
Yeah.
requires the trust. It's not just about congruence, it's also about trust. Um, and so one of the things that I've been working on this week, it's not quite ready to go out, but it should be this weekend, is I put together a while ago a process. It's not a workshop. It can be downloaded and people can work on it in their own pace. And that was around the zodiac and the astrological calendar. But it's not about the Pisces, the Taurus. It's about the energetic frequency that each one of the star signs projects. So, for example, at the moment we're in Aries. Aries is a fire sign. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it's pioneering. So, in what way in Aries, in the Aries cycle, are we utilizing that energy to be pioneering? And think about it from a feminine point of view. When we think about the women who were pioneers, who rode we had ox wagons, I think also wagons there, who pioneered into completely new, unknown territories. And how do I utilize that energy to be pioneering? And then when May comes along, how do I ground that pioneering? Because May is about stewarding energy, where we
Yeah.
move into Taurus. So that, and I've had to change all the colors, all the branding. And that's been part of putting it out into the world again, because we're in the beginning of the astrological calendar year. So
Yes.
that's something that I've been working on as well this week. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, it's been very, very interesting. And the thing I think that I'm also learning around when we are in that level of purging, and for me it was a purge this week, which I can only link again to the fire horse energy. Fire purges. So going, linking back into that energy is what starts to come out on the other side of that.
Yes.
Um, And so when we move into, if we follow the energies of fire, earth, air, water, moving in with all of those energies as well. So
Yes.
fire is about passion. Fire is about joy. It is about laughter. It is about all these things. And it is embracing that. And
Yeah.
then, so there's also a very interesting transit, just to let everybody know. I don't know huge heaps about it, but Uranus is moving into Gemini on the 20th of April. Big transit. Uranus is the planet that links to Aquarius, which is all about future, technology, all of those kinds of energies. And it's moving into the energy of Gemini, which is all about communication and air. And so now fire is going to be fed by air.
Yeah.
And so that's also perhaps why some of the things that we're working on right now aren't ready, because it needs that air energy to fuel the fire a little bit further, not to go into a raging out of control fire. That's not what we're talking about here, but to use the air energy through communication, because Gemini, that's what Gemini is all about, is communication, and to utilize the energy that we are experiencing in those cycles. So that's part of what I've also been up to this week.
I love how you're talking about this because I have also been thinking a lot about, like, I follow a lot of astrologers online. I love them. They're beautiful souls and they mean well. But what I'm noticing is how they're using fear, whether they realize it or not, to get followers or to their messages just are laced with this fear because they're talking about the energies that are coming and how it's shifting. And when you talk about this with humans, our normal reaction is like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? How's this going to look in my life? And then on to layer on top of that is all this like, fear of like stocking up and being prepared for this and that to happen, which I think is responsible anyways. I don't diss that in any way. I think that everyone should be responsible for their own self and their own family and be prepared for things. But there is so much layered in fear and headlines, of, you know, this is coming. And we know in the energies it's much more subtle than that. And so I love what you're doing and how you're presenting the energy of the planets and um
And it's
yeah,
also when there's fear mongering going on, everybody's armoring up. And so in armoring up again, we're going into tension, we're stopping flow.
yeah,
We're not in ease and grace. We're not in congruence because, again, the external environment is forcing us to be, well, we always have a choice, but the external, let me reframe this. The external environment is creating pressure, which very often takes people out of coherence.
yeah,
Instead of, I have no power over what is going on out in the world at large. I have no power at all. What I
yeah,
do have power over is the choice of how I choose to respond to what's going on around me. That's where my
yeah.
power is.
Yes. And
Um,
I think that in itself is where when they talk about the timeline splitting, this is where it is, people. It is you choose whether you're going to hoard and be in fear and armor up, or you're going to rise up and go, wait a minute, that's not how I'm going to vision it. And I was telling my husband this week, I was laughing and going, that song, Can't Touch Me? I was playing with that. I'm like, can't touch me, can't touch me. And saying, you know what? There's also another whole potential like we could create. Like, what about thriving? What about, being in joy and in aliveness and in vitality? Like, what about that? Like, that is also possible.
you
So, like,
remind me of, yeah, you reminded me of so many things. Remember Y2K and how the
yeah,
whole world went
yes,
crazy over Y2K.
right?
And then in the beginning, when COVID hits and everybody was in the shops before the shops closed down, and I mean, the
Yeah.
shops were still bare and everything. And how many times we've had experiences in our life where, the prophets of doom have kind of, and I'm not knocking them, okay, because there's sometimes a lot of truth to what's actually being said
Yes,
anyway.
yes.
But
But they've made a lot of money off it
yeah,
too.
yeah, oh, for sure. And it's also about keeping our critical faculties alive. And it's about, I mean, I have to say, we were talking about it the other day, my son-in-law and my daughter and I, we were saying how wonderful it is to live in South Africa at the moment, because for now, everything is so quiet. All the attention is off us, and we can just get on with living, which
Yeah,
is so cool. But it's coming back to that. We go through all these cycles, and the fearmongers. I mean, you think about the amount of money that the retail trade make off of fear mongering around things like toilet paper and water and all of the tin stuff and all of it. It's a frenzy. I remember with COVID, it was an absolute buying frenzy
yeah,
before the world shut down, and how our individual responses when we go into fear contributes to the macro fear as well.
yeah,
And so when you opened up already today, we were talking about being the light and how and it takes work. I'm not saying this is easy. It's sometimes very uncomfortable, but the more we are able to calibrate ourselves back into standing in that light, being the light. It's not just, we don't have a lighthouse on our logo just for fun, just because it looks good. And Janice is so good at doing all of this kind of art stuff. It's not there because of that. It is about the reminder of keeping on calibrating and coming back into, what does it mean for me to stand in the light? What does it mean for me to stand in my truth? Because my light is embodied in my truth. And
yes.
if I'm doing that, how am I then contributing to shifting the energy and shifting the frequency?
Exactly. Exactly. That is it. That's the bottom line. That's it.
And
I love
it's a choice. It's an absolute choice. And
it.
it's not easy every day. It's not. I mean, this I don't want, if for what we're saying, I don't want people to go under the impression that, oh, we just gotta walk on water and we do this, sometimes it takes a lot of effort to show up that way because there are external events that impact on us and that impact on our ability to stay congruent. And that's when you mentioned also earlier on, part of this week has also been the pause, allowing what's incongruent to surface, not suppressing it, allowing it to surface, to be expressed so that we can come back into alignment.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Mm.
Such a good
And
conversation today. Yeah.
this is also like I need community to help me be there.
Yeah.
So that is where we gain our strength and we remember our power within each and every one of us is when we are gathering with others who are aware of all of this,
Yeah.
aware and present and moving forward in the light, being the lighthouse, and knowing that, really knowing, really knowing and understanding that our energy is what is creating in this world. And that's where we have to be responsible and diligent.
There's another part of community I think that's coming up for me as you're talking about it, and that is that when there are days that I'm not able to be in congruence, part of what community gives me is that somebody else can actually just hold space for me in that moment. It doesn't have to be long. It can be a 5-minute conversation with somebody. It can be just, I need to bounce something off somebody. I need to work and process through it. And so the point that you're making about being in community is really, really vital. We can't do this kind of work in isolation.
No.
We drive ourselves cuckoo trying to do it on our own.
Well, we get rolling through our head and it's hard to pull ourselves out where you said, yeah, Angela, that is exactly what I meant too, is like when we're in community, we get to continue to evolve and expand and and like you said, be held and supported in beautiful communities. So yeah,
And it's a community that's a safe space where we can be real without judgment.
yeah, yeah. Finding the right community is important because I know there are women that have said, yeah, I've tried that and it just didn't work for me because it was not uh pure-hearted. There's still a lot of those feminine wounds we need to work on, like competition and sisterhood wounds, mother wounds, and that sort of thing. So you need to find a community that is addressing those and calling them out when they see them. So, and defending each other and being supportive for each other. And that's important too. So,
Yeah, hugely so, very much
yeah.
so. And I certainly hope that part of what we do each week with our conversations is providing people with that kind of anchoring, where something that you may hear on one of the episodes may help you to be able to get and access that level of congruence within and without, in community, without community as well. And that's something that is then supportive for and of you, because that's, I think, a lot of the intention behind what we do, and why we do what we do.
Oh, it sure is. This is a work of heart, people. This is a work of heart. We're here on our own free time and pouring into this for you. So please follow us and subscribe here and spread the word because this needs to ripple out to the world. And actually, that's feels like a really good place to wrap it up for today,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it certainly does.
Do you have
Certainly does.
anything further you want to say?
I think for me, just honor where you are, honor your truth of where you find yourself in the moment. Very often I'm reminded to bring my head back to where my feet are and not to be doing the future tripping out there. And that's a big part as well of being congruent, bringing our mental body back, our head back to where our feet are. And so also just to stay grounded, because I think this is one of the key things in all of the shift and change that's going on around us at the moment, is to stay grounded,
It is.
um, and to bring up, to take on some grounding practices, whether that's walking out in nature, hugging a tree, sitting out just in the sunshine for a little while,
Yeah.
seeing roots growing through your feet into the earth and tapping into the earth energy. So grounding, working with stones like hematite and stones like tiger's eye, very grounding stone as well.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, really important that we stay grounded.
Yes, black tourmaline. I carry them
Yeah.
in my pocket these days. Yeah, I do. I even have them sitting here on my computer.
Oh, you're just reminding me that my sister, with whom I don't we don't speak very much, she's got my black tourmaline bracelet. So she must
Oh,
need it a whole lot more than I
you
do.
must
So I
need
give it,
it. Yes.
yeah, give it to her
Time
with
for
love.
another one. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Angela, for your beautiful wisdom and energy. I love it. And I love how, stuff came through for all of us today. Thank you to our community here. Please do subscribe, like, and share, and spread the word. And remember that you are the light. And as this circle closes, it is not gone, it is always here for you. So we will see you next week. All right.
Blessings to each of you and namaste. And Janice, thank you again for watching a vital, really powerful conversation today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.